at Madhaban in one of the Prabhupada houses. Uh, Prabhupada visited New Vrindavan, and he came to one of the Prabhupada houses. Parayana and Devada were living in that one at the time. And during the course of while he was in there, he was looking around, and I heard him say with my own ears, "Build thousands of these, people will come." So that was part of Prabhupada's desire for New Vrindavan.
What was the house like?
They were small. They were basically cement floors with a shower area and drain, and cement block walls. And I would say they were like 10 by 16 or something. They're very small, but adequate for a couple or a small family.
And that was at Madhaban Farm.
And they had wood stoves,
Uh-huh.
of course.
Was that by the road?
It was kind of along the forest line, kind of parallel, no, not parallel, opposite of the road.
So based on your experience, what actually happened to Madhaban? How was it disassembled?
Well, they started focusing more on building up the major temple areas. And
You mean the palace and the
yeah,
guest
the
lodge?
palace, the new temple here, and in conjunction with Bahulaban down there. And so Madhaban kind of got pushed to the wayside, and the old farmhouse was kind of falling apart. Eventually got torn down. And they were going to use that site for another temple, but never really did manifest.
So how did you live there at the time? Did you have running water? Did you have
it was pretty
electricity?
difficult. We had to carry our water from where stream pond to where we could get it from, and I washed my clothes by hand in a metal wash tub, like the old days.
So there's no electricity?
No, we had candles or little lanterns or whatever.
And you had cows and bulls?
Not really, not there too much.
And you grew your own crops there?
Well, the actual crop farming was not too much at Madhaban.
What did you do there? What was the purpose of having the village there in the first place?
Well, there was that house was like the Jagannath temple. Because they were there. The big Jagannath deities were in the Madhaban temple.
Uh-huh.
And so we had that little temple there. It was...
So basically the deities grounded you to the property, and then when they moved the deities out, everybody else pretty much left.
When they also went to Bahulaban, and that was kind of... Madhaban was no longer essential.
Did you want to add something? What Prabhupada said?
Yeah, during that same time period, when Srila Prabhupada was here in 74, I was also there the day that he came up to Devada's house. He had just come from visiting me at my house, which was down the road. I had a log cabin there, and he had come to visit me there and was very inquisitive to see how we lived, okay? And he came in the house, I remember very clearly, and paid respects to my deities, my Gaur-Nitai deities. And then he asked me, what sort of lighting do you have? And I said, well, we use kerosene lights and candles, Prabhupada. And he says, oh, that's nice. In India, we use a castor bean oil, and we just press out the oil, and we put it in any container and add a wick, and we have our light in that way. Then he noticed all my canning jars that I had on the shelves, and he asked me about canning because in India they don't can. They don't need to. And so I said, well, this is how we preserve our food in the winter months, Srila Prabhupada. We grow the vegetables, and then we process them in a water bath canner and keep a vacuum seal. And he was very interested to hear that. He also asked me about my water, where I got that. I had a well, and I had a hand pump on the sink. And I showed him and demonstrated a hand pump cranking and getting the water from the well. And I showed him my wood cook stove, my wood heating stove, my churn for butter. Okay, I explained I had a milk cow there, and I made butter and yogurt, and I had my team of oxen, which you already knew about because they almost ran him over a few days earlier. That was another story. He came that day to me after I crashed the oxen on the lawn near him, and he inquired from me, like, whose oxen they were, and I explained they're mine. I'm sorry, Prabhupada. He goes, think nothing of it, but you go home and put rings in their noses. You control a horse with his mouth and an ox with his nose, and that's how you'll be able to control them. And I said I would. I did. And he explained in that day how a man never needs to go further than what an ox can take him in one day. So he said this as he looked up, and we saw the jet streams and the contrails above taking people thousands of miles to their business destinations. And he was explaining how we can't depend on this modern civilization. It's going to collapse. And we need to be able to produce all of our basic necessities locally, including our cloth. So he was very emphatic on these points, and we were very enthusiastic to carry out his instructions. And some of us still are. And we are very much enthusiastic to try to bring into reality Prabhupada's dream. Hare Krishna.
Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I was researching out the thing Brahmachari used put out anytime Prabhupada said transportation, money, land, divisions of society, divisions of way to be a culture. Prabhupada says if you don't make these farms self-sufficient, there'll be no hope for human civilization. So reiterating the point of what that he's saying there is that we've got to be able to make, manufacture, use all simple things ourselves, or we're going to be in a world of hurt. So it's very important that this isn't passe or quaint thing through about the good old days. This is necessity very quickly, or we're in trouble.
Well said.
Well, okay, Prabhus, thank you all so much for your service, and we'll pray that we succeed in going back to Earth.
Hare Krishna.